I want to do a little video on borrowing when it is in regards to subtracting mixed numbers or fractions from whole numbers. And sometimes people get caught up on this when this occurs, and I want to go through a few examples. And the first example, I'm going to show you a longer way to do it, but then I'm going to follow up with a shorter way. So, for instance, if we're going to borrow, you can think of subtraction, because when we would borrow with whole number subtraction, we're going to do the same thing with fractions. So in this example, we have 1 take away 3/4. Now, in the past, when we subtracted with fractions, we want to make sure the denominators are the same. Once they are, then we can do the operation. In this case, we've got a whole number and a fraction. So what you could do the long way is to change this into a fraction by making it 1 over 1 minus 3/4. Okay, so this became this. And then we would change this 1 over 1 into 4/4 because we would want to have the same denominator. We would multiply the 1 by 4 and we would do the same up here. And so that would give us 4/4 minus 3/4. And then we could easily get our answer, 1/4. Okay? Now this would be kind of the long way. I'm going to show you a shortcut to kind of skip some of this writing, because you're going to get to the same 4/4 here. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the original problem, 1 take away 3/4. Okay, now knowing that I need to have common denominators when I'm going to add or subtract fractions, I'm going to go ahead and change this to 4/4. Because 4/4 is equivalent to 1. And so I've just taken this 1 and created it, rewritten it into a form that continues to have the value of 1, but it just looks a little different. And it's in the form so that I don't have to change the denominators anymore. They're both fourths, and then I can just subtract. Let's go ahead and try another one. Say we have 1 take away 2/9. And if you're going to think of that shortcut method, what should that 1 become? Well, if you're thinking 9/9, you're correct. And now we can subtract and we get 7/9. Now let's make a harder one. Let's say we've got 2 minus 5/7. Minus 5/7. Now, we can't just change that 2 to 7/7 because, that would just equal 1, and then we would lose the 1, because 1 plus 1 is 2. So what we want to think about doing is take away 1 from this 2, and that would leave us 1. And then let's write that other 1 using the 7ths. So 7/7. So 1 and 7/7, it has the same value of 2, because 1 is 1 and 7/7 is 1. And when we combine them together, that's going to give us 2. So we haven't really changed this expression at all. It still has the same value. Now we're going to bring down the take away 5/7, and then we can subtract. Now, if you would rather rewrite it as a vertical problem, that's totally fine. We've got minus 5/7 here. And then we're going to subtract 7, take away 5 is 2. And then bring down the 1. Okay? Let's do another one. Let's do a mixed number. So say we have 1 1/4 or 1 1/4 minus 1/2. Now, in this, notice our denominators are not the same, so I'm going to go ahead and make them the same. So I've got 1 1/4 minus 2/4. Notice I can't take 2 from 1. I'm going to get a negative number. So I'm going to borrow 1 and make it into 4/4. And then I'm going to combine that to the 1/4. So this 1 becomes 4/4. And then I'm going to add it to the 1/4. And then once I add that, then I can take away the 2/4. So 4/4 plus 1/4 is going to give me 5/4 minus 2/4 equals 3/4. Let's do one more, and I want you to think through this problem before I write down the numbers, just so you get a sense of whether you have this concept down or not. So in this last example, let's say we have 8 3/4 minus 2 7/8. Again, I want to have a common denominator before I decide what to do. I'm going to change these fourths to eighths. So I've got 8 6/8 minus 2 7/8. Notice if I try to take 7 from 6, I'm going to get a negative number. So I want to borrow 1 from the 8. So, excuse me, this 8 is going to become 7, 8/8. Again, 7 plus 8/8, that's going to equal 8, plus 6/8, excuse me. And then we can take away the 7/8. So I'm going to write it down. 8 plus 6 is 14, so 7 14/8. Notice this part is an improper fraction. 14/8, that's improper. We need that improper number so we can take away the 7. Or in this case, we need it to be improper. I'm going to subtract 2 7/8. Now, and again, if you want to rewrite it, you can. I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, but basically 14 take away 7 is 7. The denominator stays the same. 7 take away 2 is 5. 5 7/8.